Should I put my email address in?
Yeah, sure. It'll just go to
Okay.
us.
Ben,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear
This is
you.
Sharon.
Hey, Sharon, how are you?
Good. How about you?
Good. Sorry for the delay. I was having a real hard time logging into GoToMeeting for some reason. Just kept spinning and spinning, wouldn't go.
It says that it's just, I don't know. It says waiting to view your screen. So I'm guessing I'll be able to see it.
Yes.
I hope so.
You should be able to see my,
Yes.
yes, big kind of a colorful cover page.
Yes, I can see it.
Great.
Hi, Ben.
I
It's Shauna
can
and
as
Cheryl.
well.
Hello.
Hi, Ben.
Hey, Shauna Ray.
I just made one quick change in the PowerPoint in Dropbox. Are you able to close, let me save, and then reopen it?
Sure. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. I just did it like right this second. Okay.
Okay. And we've got Stephanie and Sharon, and Cheryl and Shauna Ray. I think we're ready to go.
Awesome.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's Cheryl and Shauna Ray. We're sharing a computer, so it's logged in as Cheryl, but we're both here, and we're just going to kind of tag team. I have some parts, and Shauna Ray has some parts, and you'll hear us both talk. I'm Cheryl Kamehanan, and you guys know who I am. Stephanie, actually, you're new. Stephanie, welcome to our
Yes.
study. This is the Eyebrow Challenge. I'm the principal investigator on this project, and Ben and Shauna Ray and I have been the three key people who have led the project and really been doing the pilots and everything. We're really glad you're here and welcome, and
Thank
we are
you.
going to do the writing. And Sharon, welcome back. We're so glad you're going to join us again.
Yes, I'm excited. The boys are ready to start up too.
Oh,
Awesome.
awesome. And you're going to find this to be quite different. So I'll be curious to know what you think of it in comparison to reading.
Okay, I'll let you
All right,
know.
let's get started.
Okay, everyone. So first, I'm going to just briefly tell you the purpose of the Eyebrow Challenge, which is to improve literacy and technology skills of students who read Braille. The IBC includes activities and contests designed to build important literacy skills for our students in grades 1 through 12. Yes. Okay, so for our pilot study, we want to first thank you for participating, and I want to briefly go over what we are wanting you to do as being a part of this pilot study. The first thing is we would like for you to complete a placement test, which is what we will show you today. We're going to ask that you sign up for a power hour, and then we'll ask you to notify us first once you completed your training, your placement test with your student, and then sign up for one of our power hours. For the rest of the study, we ask that you commit to working with your student 16 weeks, twice a week for at least 40 minutes each session. Okay, our next. Okay, so now I'm briefly going to do an overview of the app structure, the way that our app is set up. For you, Sharon, this will be kind of familiar. We try to keep it the same as our reading. So the first thing that first let me ask, do both of you have your iPad and Braille display?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So, do you have the latest version of the app, Ben? Do they have the latest
Yes,
version?
yes, they do.
Awesome. Okay. It's on your iPads now and ready to go, everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So what we're going to have you do is first start out on the login screen. And do we give them like a login so that they could actually go into the app, Ben?
Yes, they both have username and passwords.
Okay, perfect. So on that login page you'll see that's where you would put in your user ID and your password. And if you could go ahead and do that.
Okay, and I have one question. I was trying to pair my Braille display, and it asked me for a pin. Should I just say pair? Because I don't know what the pin is.
Yeah, the pin is 0000. But for purposes of this presentation, you don't really need your Braille display. You just need to be able to flip through the app. And you and I can talk after this if you like, and I can help you make sure that you're able to pair that.
Okay.
Okay. So once you are both into the app, you're going to land on the student roster page. And I don't know, it's going to show, is it going to show anything for them right now, Ben?
Yes,
on that page?
they've both done the demographics, so they'll have their students showing up.
Oh, okay, awesome. So you both should be on the student roster page. And then what I'm going to ask you to do is just select one of your students. So on the left-hand side of your screen will be a list of your students' names, and on the right-hand side will be your student ID numbers. And
Okay.
select one of your students. And when you select your student, it's going to take you to our writing center. Okay, our next slide, please, Ben. Okay, the Writing Center has two sections that we want to talk about. There's a writing placement and a writing challenge. The Writing Center has there's also other two, I'm sorry. Okay, so also on this page are activities, which are blinking Braille, Braille Scramble, and repeated writings, I'm sorry. So those will be discussed at a later time. So for the purposes of today, we're going to be focusing on the writing placement. And these are short tests that confirm your student's current reading age level, and it contains two types of tests, a multiple choice, which is A through D, and an audio dictation. The writing placement, first we want to have you select that writing placement. So just take a second and select writing placement. And once you select writing placement, it takes you out to the writing placement page. And on that page, you're going to find apprentice, which are grades 1 through 2, freshman, grades 3 through 4, sophomore, grades 5 through 6, junior varsity, grades 7 through 9, and varsity, grades 10 through 12. These are the age levels for the students who are competing in the National Braille Challenge. So if you're familiar with that, it's the same structure of the age groupings. So we've just kind of kept that like the Braille Challenge. Okay. So then there's going to be a breakdown of the age levels. And this will make more sense to you later. For today's portion of the study, you won't need to focus on this, but it's apprentice, levels 1, which is beginning first grade, to middle first grade. Level 2 is middle first grade to late first grade. Level 3 is beginning second grade to middle second grade. Level 4, middle second grade to late second grade. And then we have freshman, which is level 1, beginning third grade to middle third grade. Level 2 is middle third grade to late third grade. Level 3 is beginning fourth grade to middle fourth grade. Level 4 is middle fourth grade to late fourth grade. And then sophomore is the same setup with beginning fifth grade to middle fifth grade to late fifth grade, beginning sixth grade to late sixth grade, middle sixth grade to late sixth grade. And then junior varsity, we don't have the middle, the two levels. It's just a straight age level, which is for level 1 is 7th grade, level 2 is 8th grade, level 3 is 9th grade, And then varsity level 1 is 10th grade, level 2 is 11th grade, and level 3 is 12th grade. And for the purposes of the placement test, which is what we're going to go over today, you won't have to focus on these age levels. It's just going to be, you know, apprentice, freshman, sophomore, junior varsity, and varsity. And we'll go into these age level breakdowns later in another meeting with you. Okay, so next, Ben is going to actually take you through the multiple choice placement.
Okay, thanks, Shauna Ray. So once you've selected writing placement from your student test center, so the first orange page that you land on, you'll select writing placement, and you'll land on this page, which is a table of the ages that are available. So you at this point you've selected the age. So if your student is in first grade, you'll select apprentice. Third grade, you'll select sophomore, and so on. And you'll land on, once you've made that selection, you'll actually land on a page that has test content in it that's age appropriate for your student. And this table is broken up into 4 sections, and they're actually levels: level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. Within each level, there are 2 tests. There's a multiple choice test, which is the student will read a question and answer multiple choice A, B, C, or D. And then there's a dictation test where the student will listen to a prompt and then braille the word, phrase, or sentence that they hear using the braille display. So there's a multiple choice and a dictation test, one of each under each level. In total, I think both of you have students in either apprentice or freshman. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And I have a sophomore.
Okay. Well, and the sophomore is the same. So you'll have 4 levels: 1, 2, 3, and 4, and under each level there'll be 2 tests: 1 dictation, multiple choice, and 1 dictation. So for a total of 8 tests. The concept of this is that your student will take this entire set of tests, so all 8, 4 multiple choice, 4 dictation tests, based on the age level that you put them in. And then once they take the test, it will their score will actually kind of validate your presumption and give you a very specific age and level that, in the context of this app, your student should be reading in. And we'll talk more about that later. But the purpose of this is just to verify within the context, this digital environment, of where your student's age and level is, so that once we move on in the app, they really are working on the age appropriate and level appropriate test content for them. So you're going to start and finish this entire set of tests. Let's look at the multiple choice test first. So if you could, under that first gray bar, the first test is you'll see in black braille font. Again, the multiple choice is going to be in black, and the dictation is in orange. Let's select that first multiple choice test together, and we'll go through the test.
Okay, I'm a little confused. Sorry,
Okay.
already I'm confused.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm still on the page apprentice. I'm trying to read it in braille. I think it's, what is that, number 1 through 2 something.
Yep, that's
This
the
is
gray.
version A, version B,
Mm-hmm.
and then for each, so which level should I pick?
So your student is well, for now, for what we're doing here, let's just for the purposes of the training, let's just pick apprentice. So the first one,
Okay.
and then version A, just so we're all on the same page. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, now I see where we are.
All right. Great. And then so under that first gray bar, you're going to hit the first test, which is a multiple choice test, and then you'll land on a screen that looks just like this. And this is the instructions page. It contains a general instructions for the test. We'll be able to hear the instructions read audibly. And if you remember when you were on the login screen, you saw those 3 the 3 little robot cartoons. We have the voices of those cartoons embedded in the app, and the voices, if you want to play the instructions for the student, the voice of each of those kind of cartoonish characters will, in a rotation, will take turns reading the instructions aloud for you. And then when you're ready to begin this writing placement multiple choice test, and be sure that your Braille display is connected and VoiceOver is turned on, you'll select the begin button at the bottom of the page. So let's just go down to the bottom of the page and select the button that says begin, and you should hear an audio prompt that'll let you know that the test is about to begin. So you should be now on a multiple choice screen, and there will be 6 of these multiple choice questions where your student will select A, B, C, or D. So first they'll read the question, and they'll go down and read each of the answers, and when they land on the answer that they want to choose, they'll use the cursor router to select that answer. When they're finished, they will, at the bottom of the page, they will navigate to the next button at the bottom to advance to the next question after they've selected their answer. If the question is too difficult or they can't answer it for some reason, they can select the skip button and they'll skip over that particular question without answering it, and they'll move on. They will miss that question, but they are not going to be forced to answer it. So they won't get points for it, but they aren't forced to answer it. If they do not answer it and they hit the skip or the next button, a pop-up will pop up notifying them that they have not yet answered it, and they want to confirm. Will want to confirm that they actually want to skip it, or if they want to actually try to answer the question. So again, there will be 6 of these multiple choice questions. When they're finished, the audio on the device will turn up, and they'll hear a applause and some words of encouragement congratulating them on completing the test. And they'll do 6 of these, so 6 questions per test. Once they're finished reading that, they'll select the Go to Submit screen button, and you'll advance to a screen that will show you very, very specific analytics for that particular test, how long it took them to finish the test, which answers they got correct and incorrect, and so forth. And then you'll be able to submit those answers by hitting the Submit button, and we'll show you what that looks like later. You'll just hit the Submit button, and you'll be able to submit those scores to the database and move on in the app. So does that make sense to you both? Is there any questions about that?
It's similar to the reading section.
Yeah, it's exactly the same format, except they're not reading a passage. They're just answering questions. The cool part about the multiple choice, you'll notice that you're going to notice that these tests are, I think, much quicker to go through than on the reading section. Okay, and I think Cheryl is going to talk to you about the types of multiple choice questions that are going to be found in this section.
All right, thank you, Ben. Okay, so we thought we would give you a heads up on the different types of questions that are going to be presented for each of the students. There's essentially 4 different types of questions. Because you're starting with some of the youngest grades at an apprentice level 1st grade, and their reading skills are not strong enough yet to actually read prompts in reading comprehension, then what we did is we tried to make the prompts as self-explanatory as possible. So we're hoping that the meaning is implied in terms of what you're supposed to do. So we thought we'd give you a heads up on what they would look like so that you can anticipate how you might support your students in answering these questions. So the first type is a fill in the blank. We don't actually tell you to fill in the blank, but we're hoping that it's implied. If there's a blank, then whatever the answer choices are supposed to then fill in the blank. So in this example, we went to visit my blank. And your answer choices A, B, C, and D are grandma, capital G, R, A, N, D, M, A. Answer choice B, G, R, and D, sign, M, A. Answer choice C, capital G, R, and D sign, M-A. And in this case, anyone want to take a guess at what the correct answer is?
Uh-oh. B or C? I don't know.
So in this case, you're right, it's either B or C. In this case, the correct answer is B,
Okay.
without a capital. And so again, we're trying to make this as self-explanatory as possible, but the hint or the clue is the word my. Because it's my grandmother, my serves as the possessive for my grandmother or grandma, and so grandma then is a noun as opposed to a proper noun. If my wasn't there, then the sentence would read, we went to visit grandma, which could be considered a proper noun and therefore capitalized. But because of the word my, then it should not be capitalized. It's just a plain old noun. All right, so the next example is of a contraction. Again, no directions are here. We're hoping that it is self-explanatory. The word is but, B-U-T, and your answer choices are A, B, B, C. Answer choice C is the letter D. Answer choice, this is so confusing. Answer choice A is the letter B, or the contraction for but. Answer choice B is the letter C, or the contraction for can. Answer choice C is the letter D, which is the contraction for do. Answer choice D was the contraction E. Anyone want to take a guess at the correct answer?
A.
A.
All right, nice job, A. Next slide. So it does get a little bit more difficult. In this example, which one says 10 o'clock? So again, we're looking for the correctly brailled version of this. Anyone want to take a guess at the correct answer?
C? I think.
Yes, good, C. So we are using UEB, and in UEB you would have to use the number indicator following a punctuation. So you have number indicator 10, colon, number indicator 00. So good job. There are several UEB math questions, at least 1 or 2 per set. What we tried to do is include as much math as you would see or show up in literary text. So for example, you might have reference to percentages or money or maybe even some really basic addition and fractions. So we do UEB math in the context of what might show up in a literary text. All right, thank you. Next slide. Okay, so this is a little bit longer. How do you correctly braille not? How do you correctly braille not with emphasis using all caps in the following? And the sentence reads, do not open your test yet, he shouted. So how would you correctly braille not?
A.
A, good
Yeah,
job.
A.
Yep, nice job. Okay, next slide. Okay, and in this one, we actually do give you a prompt. This is probably the easiest kind of question and most similar to the Braille Challenge. Which sentence is correct? Anyone want to take a guess at that one? I'm sorry, did somebody say something?
No, not yet. I think C.
That's correct. Tomorrow is Father's Day. Father's Day being the holiday, so capital F for fathers and capital D for day. Good, nice job. Okay, next slide.
Okay, so those were examples of writing placement multiple choice, and as mentioned, the other test that is that will appear under each level is the dictation test. I'm going to walk you through what that looks like. So if you can navigate back to the table where you selected your test, so we can kind of get all on the same page. And if you can select dictation, the dictation test, which is the orange test underneath the multiple choice that we just selected, and you should land on a page that looks just like this. Is everybody there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so this will be exactly as it was before. There's a general set of instructions. Give the student the ability to hear the instructions played audibly, and you'll be able to read the instructions in print. And then when the student is ready, if the refreshable braille display is connected and you're ready to go, and voiceover is turned on, select the begin button at the bottom of the page, and you will begin. You'll hear a countdown, and you'll land on the first of the dictation tests. In this test, there are only 2 dictations, so this is actually going to go pretty quick, I think. The student will hear an audio clip of a word, phrase, or sentence. Then once the audio clip is done playing, the student will braille the word, phrase, or sentence that they heard. So it'll play automatically the first time, and the student will be given a chance to type the word, phrase, or sentence. But they will be able to select the replay button, which is the button at the bottom center there, and they can re-listen to the audio as many times as they want. Just the audio itself kind of has 2 parts. It's a kind of a professorial guy, like a male voice saying, braille the word or braille the phrase, followed by a woman's voice saying whatever the phrase is, puppy, or, I play in the yard. But it's a clear, the male's voice will give clear instruction on what they need to do, and the female voice will be actually the content that they'll be typing or what they'll be brailing. And again, they can replay that audio as many times as they want. When the student's finished, they're going to hit the continue button at the bottom of the page, just like the other test. If the student wants to skip the test or can't answer the question for some reason, they can select the skip button at the very, very bottom of the test, and they will advance to the next question. Although they won't get, they'll get no points. If they skip. Let's see. When you're done, you'll hear an audio prompt that'll let you know that you finished the test, and there'll be a kind of a raw score just to give the student a little feedback on how they did. It's just really the number correct out of the number possible. So 0, 1, or 2 out of 2. When you're ready, you'll select the go to error analysis page, and this is where you as the teacher will be a little bit more engaged than in the multiple choice. And this is kind of analogous, Sharon, to what we did in the reading test, where we called it the miscue analysis. But at the end of each test, you'll select the go to error analysis at the bottom of the page. If you want to skip the error analysis and just go right to the test submission screen, so if for some reason the student finished the test and there's you don't want to keep the test, or there was something that interfered with the test, so you don't feel like it was a fair reading of the student's ability, you can hit the button at the bottom that will allow you just to go straight to the submission screen, and you can cancel the test if you'd like. We hope you don't do that. Unless something happens to maybe interrupt or something, because we want to get a fair reading of your students' ability and watch them kind of increase over time. But for now, let's just say that you've selected the error analysis page. On this error analysis page, it's going to show you how the student answered those 2 questions in the dictation. It'll provide the correct answer that the student was supposed to have typed or was supposed to have brailled, and then we'll be able to review the student's answer, so what they actually brailled, and then in that comparison, if you see an error, you'll select the word that was an error that contains the error, and a pop-up will appear. So you'll select the word that was incorrectly brailled. The pop-up will appear, and you will apply the type of error that the student has made to that word. As many of those errors as as exist. So, and Cheryl's going to kind of go through those one at a time to explain to you what those are. So you'll read the student's answer, and based on the student answer, you will find the errors, and you will actually tag the word with the type of errors that the student made. When you're finished, you'll just hit the save button at the bottom of the pop-up, and it'll save your selections, and it'll underline the word that the student missed, and it'll be turned red. The word will be turned red, so you'll know that that your error analysis has been logged. When you're finished, you're just going to hit the finished button at the bottom, and you'll go to the test submission page. And on this page, Sharon, you'll recognize this. It's going to give you kind of a more granular look at your students' tests. The amount of time they took, the total number of answers they provided, how many correct, incorrect, or skipped. It'll show the correct answer, and then down below it'll show the student's answer, and then below that, if they had errors that you picked out, it'll show the word, as you can see down at the bottom there. Pet is in red, and then on the right hand side, it'll actually show a number that corresponds to the type of error that you tagged. There's nothing you need to do with all of that information. It's just kind of aggregates their test data in a kind of a snapshot, so you can see it before you submit the test data. Also, and this isn't pictured here, but in the upper right hand corner, you can see the button that says email results in the upper right. If you select that button, it's going to grab that test. It's going to grab that test results screen, and you can email it to yourself, just so you have a record of how your student did. When you're ready, you can hit the submit button at the bottom, the one that says submit data, and it'll push all of your students' test data for this particular test to the server, and it'll be logged, and you'll be good to go. And then when you go back to the test table where you're selecting one test at a time, this test will now be grayed out, and it'll say complete, and there'll be a little orange star next to it, so you'll know that you've already taken the test, and you won't be able to open that test again. At the bottom, at the bottom of the screen, there's also the cancel test, cancel and discard the test data button. If there was a problem or something interrupted your student and you don't think it was a fair, the fair test results, you can hit that button, and it'll just scrub that test from the memory, and you can start over and take that test again. We recommend you don't do that if unless something really external happens to the student, or if there's an interruption, because we really do want to get a fair read on where they are, both at the beginning and then track their progress as they improve. Does all that make sense to everybody? The progression of that, it's only 2 questions. The student will hear the audio, they'll type what they hear, you'll perform the error analysis, and you'll submit the data. Is there any questions on that?
No.
Nope.
Awesome. Okay. And Cheryl's going to
Okay, so my job is to go over the errors, the different types of errors that you might see in writing. So this is similar in concept to a miscue analysis. However, this is in regards to the dictation. So we have some categories for you. They're broad categories of errors. The first category of errors being spelling, the second category being grammar, the third one being Braille errors, and the fourth category being composition. Next slide. Okay, so here's a few helpful hints for dictation that we want you to keep in mind as you're working with your students. The words Earth, Sun, and Moon are never capitalized. They're in reference to other celestial bodies. Digits represented in numbers have commas where needed, so if you have a number in the thousands, like 5,000, it will be written 5,000, unless the digits are representative of a year. So calendar years like 1809, 1420 are always written in numbers and do not have a comma. And numbers that are representative of decades, like the 1970s, also will not have a comma. The word one, O-N-E, whenever it's used as a subject, is used as a word, and the digits 1 through 10 will always be written out in words unless specified in the prompt. So these are some general hints for the dictation sentence. When you get into the more difficult passages and phrases, we'll give you these contextual hints through the narration. But in the earlier grades, you're not going to see these types of contextual hints. All right, next slide. So here again are the categories of errors, and we're going to go through each of these types of errors. So starting with conventional spelling. Conventional spelling words are words that have a typical spelling pattern. The word button, telephone, blackboard, stapler, for example. They're words that you can sound out. This is different from unconventional words that do not have a typical spelling pattern and cannot be sounded out. So for example, an atypical or an unconventional spelling pattern. Next slide, please. An example of an unconventional spelling pattern would be there, mnemonic, pterodactyl, rhyme, asthma, autumn. Do not have conventional spelling patterns. Next slide. The last type of spelling type issue is capitalization in regards to proper nouns. So months of the year, places, cities, countries, names of people, names of languages are always going to be capitalized. But again, moon, sun, and celestial bodies will not be capitalized. Next slide. So here's some examples of what you'll see in Braille. You'll get a prompt such as stop, stop. And then the student will then have to Braille the word S-T-O-P. So in this case, the student has an error. What is the error and what type of error would it be?
Misspelled. Conventional spelling.
Good, conventional spelling, and the error is?
An E instead of an O.
Yes, very good, an E instead of an O. Good. So next slide. So you would then mark conventional spelling error. Good. All right, here's another example. The prompt is, write the sentence, make sure to catch enough good food for dinner. And the student wrote what's below, so if you're able to identify the error and the type of error, what would it be?
Enough should be just the lower EN. I guess
Okay.
it'd be unconventional spelling.
Unconventional, good. So there's actually two errors here. One is a Braille error. Wait. Okay, but they spelled it out E-N-U-F-F, and so it's an unconventional spelling pattern. And later on we'll get to the Braille errors. We'll talk about Braille errors. But this is definitely an unconventional spelling pattern that was misspelled. Next slide. My pig is Bessie. My pig is Bessie.
Capitalization.
Good. Capitalization for the word Bessie. It's missing a .6. Nice job. Next slide. Okay, the next group of errors have to do with grammatical types of errors. Capitalization that's required of sentence prompting, for example, or bulleted lists or quotation marks would be in this section. Also, punctuation marks, anything that is a misrepresented punctuation, such as periods. Next slide, please. Such as periods, commas, parentheses, brackets, slashes, quotation marks, exclamation marks. Those would all be examples of punctuation. Next slide. And also grammatical errors, missed plural, missed verb endings, or incorrect articles. So students will sometimes drop articles, they'll sometimes add endings to words or miss plurals. Those would be all grammatically incorrect, as well as possibly spelling patterns as well. All right, so here's a few examples of what these would look like. That is quite a mess. Anyone able to identify the error?
question mark or not a period at the end.
Good. And what type? Punctuation. Very good. Next error. Or next slide. All right, so this is an example of what the narrator will say. And in this example, we want them to think of this not as just a word, but as you would have to write it in a sentence. So we say, write the sentence. Wow! And then it should be understood how you would write that as a sentence. So what's missing?
Capitalization. Punctuation.
And punctuation. Good. So you would actually mark both errors. Nice. All right, and here's the last one of this type of category. I can read and write with my fingers.
Capitalization, grammar.
Anything else?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So capital I is missing, and grammar, reading, and writing also. And in this case, it's the miscapitalization of a sentence, but it's also capitalizing that proper noun I. All right, good. Next slide. Okay, so now we have a category of Braille contraction errors. These are really specific to Braille readers only. Any misuse of a contraction, whether they didn't use it or they used the wrong one, or they misbrailed a contraction of any type, is going to be a contraction error. Examples would be brother, coffee, earth. If they misspell can or they spell it out, that would be a contraction error as well. We also have some math symbols that are represented. We again try to keep it into any math symbols that might be represented in text. So numbers are a big one, number signs that you would need. But there are also in the higher grades percentages, dollars, cents, some really simple fractions, dashes and slashes like you might see in a date. And then also equals, greater than, and less than will show up in some of the later grades. Next slide. Reversals are anything that's a left-right reversal, like an E versus an I, or an O versus an OW, and versus U. But it could also be a top-bottom, like a M and a M and an ING would be a diagonal reversal. Or a M and a U would be an up-down reversal. So it could be anything either left-right, up-down, or diagonal reversals. RW would be left-right, ST and CH would be left-right, but then ED, THE, N, and Z could either be up-down or diagonal as well. Next slide. Punctuation. Any punctuation symbol that was used incorrectly, so periods instead of exclamation, or the misbrailing of a punctuation symbol. What was the one that I saw that was really common the other day? The colon, the quotation marks for, and parentheses, for example, are often misbrailed, so just something to kind of watch out for. And then the last one, composition symbols, are very specific to Braille. I'm counting this as composition and formatting. So if there are extra spaces or not having spaces, not having carriage returns, or using the all caps improperly, would be examples of Braille composition errors. Next slide. So here are some examples. Here's one, can, C-A-N, was spelled out. What type of error?
Braille contraction.
Right, very good, nice job. Next one.
Braille reversal.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Braille reversal of what letter?
ST.
ST and CH. So this is also a contraction error because it's the misuse of the contraction. And then because it changes the spelling to chop, then you can also mark this as a conventional spelling error. So this has lots of categories. Remember, you want to mark all that apply. Next one. I see pigs.
I don't see anything wrong with it.
This is a reversal, if that helps.
Oh, okay, it's the end of the day. Yeah, E instead of I.
It's a,
I'm
yeah.
getting reversed.
Good. All right.
Okay, yeah.
Good. Next slide. It does get a little bit longer. I love that triangle. It has 3 corners. Anyone see an error?
Well, it isn't capitalized.
It is missing a capital letter. Anything
The
else?
3 is a 3 in Nemeth.
Good. Can you? Yeah,
I think that's all I see.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, good. So the dot, the it is missing the capital, so it's a composition error, and then the number 3 should be spelled out THREE, so that is also considered a math error. Next one. Okay, so this one is a little confusing for me to explain, but essentially, if you miss a word, like for example, the student just skips a word altogether, then you want to mark it as an omitted word. So for example, if the sentence read, the cat is black, and the student omitted is, and they wrote the cat black, then you would click on, you can click on black and say they omitted the word before. Pigs like to roll in the mud. If you they miss the word pigs and just say like to roll in mud, you would select the word like, and then you would say they omitted pigs. Next slide. In some cases, however, there is no word before. So in this case, if they omitted the word black, there's nothing to choose. So you're actually going to have to choose the word is and say they omitted the word after. So the cat is, select is, they omitted black. If the sentence read pigs like to roll in the mud and they left out roll, you could actually choose either to and say they omitted the word after, or you could actually select the word in and say they omitted the word before. Any questions about omitted after versus omitted before?
No.
No.
Okay. And then you want to select the number of words that they actually omitted. So if they omitted 1 word, you just select the number 1. But you can go up to 4 words. If they omitted more than 4 words, you're going to click the number 4. Next slide. So here's an example. It is fun to jump, swim, or surf the waves. All right, so what's going on with this one?
Braille contraction for it.
They omitted the.
Nice, that's 2 errors. There's 1 more hidden in there.
Oh.
It's in the word waves. Oh, you know what? It actually didn't save, Ben. It's fine the way it is. Okay, so in this example, it was, go back a slide. It should be a contraction. I gotta fix this one. Sorry guys, I gotta fix this one. There's a difference between slide 78 and 79. So it should be the letter X, and the word the is omitted. So it is a contraction error. The is omitted word. You can either choose waves, an omitted word before, or an omitted word after. Next slide. Okay. All right, I'll fix those too. All right, next slide. They have 6 legs and sometimes wings as well.
The number
what's
6
going on?
should be spelled out.
Good. 6 should be spelled out. What type of error?
Oh.
Braille math symbol.
Good. Braille math. 6, they have things.
Sometimes is a Braille error because you should do .5s, .5t, and there shouldn't be a space between them. And they left out as and well, and they put in two.
Yeah, so there's a little substitution going on there. Okay, so let's take it one at a time. The number 6, what kind of error?
Braille math.
Math symbol, good. Next error. Legs, anything wrong with that one?
Yes,
I was an I instead of an E.
I instead of an E. So there's actually 2 errors that you're going to mark. Braille reversal, what's the other error?
Will that be conventional spelling?
Good. It renders it wrong, right? It renders the spelling incorrect. So you would also have to mark conventional spelling. Good. All right. And sometimes the word some should be the word sometimes, right? So they missed the contraction for some. Is this considered an omission?
I want to say yes. Because they missed the word. Because sometimes there's a word.
Right. So they missed the word times within a compound word. But did they actually omit an entire?
Maybe no.
Now this is a tricky one. So this one actually would not be considered an omitted word unless they missed both words within the compound word sometimes. So they kind of got half of it right. So we would just give them credit for half of it. It would be a spelling error, and it would also be a Braille contraction error. Okay, and wings, what's wrong with that one?
Braille contraction.
Yes.
Good, Braille contraction. Now, is this one considered a spelling error?
No, because it is
No,
spelled correctly.
Right, it's still spelled correctly. Yeah, so sometimes Braille errors are going to cause spelling errors, and sometimes they won't. In this example, it didn't cause a spelling error. Good. And then the last one, 2, is highlighted, and what type of error?
Admitted words before 2 of them.
Very good. Omitted words, too. Nice job, guys. Here's the last one. It's a little bit longer, but I like this example because it really shows you how the app progresses in difficulty. So the entire prompt is written above in the first bullet point. In 1878, her hard work paid off. She worked with others to present Congress with the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, giving women the vote. She left quite a legacy. You can see her on the dollar coin. But there's quite a bit going on within this sentence, and so when we get into these later grades, we give them a lot more context. So what you're actually going to hear, if this were a problem that you were doing, is you're going to hear first a male narrator use digits to write the number in the sentence. Write the sentences. And then you're going to hear a female narrator read the sentence and give you context of what you should be brailing. So she'll say, in 1878, comma, her hard work paid off, period. She worked with others to present capital C, Congress, with the 19th, capital A, Amendment to the capital U, period, capital S, period, U.S., capital C, Constitution, giving women the vote, and so on. We did hire professional actors, and so they really do a much better job and give this justice. They have over-articulated the emphases to tell you which is part of the sentence and which is part of the actual context of it. And so I think you'll be able to hear the differences between the clues versus the actual sentences. If for whatever reason this gets confusing, will you please email us the set that you're working on and the actual prompt that you're finding problematic, and we can go back and revisit the recordings of them. But we did want to make this as easy as possible. We didn't want the students to struggle over whether or not things should be capitalized. All right, so let's take a look at what this might look like if there were errors. So in this example, in 1878, comma, what's the error?
The
I
comma's
don't think that's
wrong.
a comma.
Very good, the comma. And they did a .6 instead, so that would be a punctuation error. In this case, you would mark both a punctuation and a Braille punctuation. A lot of times when it comes to punctuation, you are probably going to be using both of those types of errors. All right, next example. All right, what's wrong with work? You want them?
Braille contraction.
Okay, good. Braille contraction. Any misspellings?
No.
No.
No, it's
So you
fine.
would only mark Braille contraction. All right, good. Next slide. So this prompt actually didn't fit on one slide, so I broke it up. Here's the last part of it. She left quite a legacy. What's wrong with she?
Not
Capitalization.
capitalized.
Not capitalized, so it would be the fourth one, capitalization sentence. And there's one other error that's associated with this that's a Braille error. Can you guess what it might be?
The A is wrong.
In the word she?
Oh, no. Sorry. I went on.
The word she actually has a composition error as well. The .6 would be considered a composition error. So you would mark two things, capitalization of the sentence and Braille composition. Okay, what's wrong with the A?
It's in the wrong. It's a .2
All right, good. Is it?
instead
Yeah,
of a .1.
instead of a .1. Good. And so what kind of error is that?
Braille composition.
And would that be also Braille contraction or punctuation? Braille punctuation?
Yeah, I would definitely put Braille punctuation. Composition, it would be spacing or all caps. But I think the .2 being a comma kind of confuses that one. What about spelling?
Mm-hmm.
Because she didn't write the word, right? It would be considered misspelled.
Right. So wouldn't that appear as if it was printed? So then yeah, she would have omitted it maybe.
Oh yeah, actually you could write this as an omitted word. Good, because they actually didn't write the word. Yeah. All right, good. That's a tricky one. Okay, then the next one, what's wrong with this? Whoops, go back, Ben. Sorry. We skipped one. Yeah, that one. What's wrong with this one?
That's the old parentheses.
Yeah, this one's
Mhm.
really bad because they actually did a Nemeth parentheses because, you know, this is a contraction OF. So this would read OF Y. So you got a lot going on there. If it was written OFY, what kind of errors does that render?
Oh wow.
Unconventional spelling. Also capitalization because it's supposed to be a capital U.
Good. Spelling, capitalization, and punctuation, right? Because they did the OF
Yeah.
instead of the punctuation. So you would need both regular punctuation and Braille punctuation. All right, good. That one had a lot going on. What's next? All right, so what's going on with this?
That's I think the old parentheses for sure.
All right, good. So this is again punctuation. It's the old parentheses. All right, nice job. And that's our last example. We will probably be discussing these one more time in our first power hour and see how you guys did with coding those errors. All right, so Shadowray is going to finish up with our presentation.
Okay. Did you make it? So now we're just going to talk a little bit about what is going to be coming up, what we're going to need in order before you all get started. So the first thing is the letter from your school district, and you both already have submitted that, so you're fine with that. The next is the consents, we have to have the teacher consent form, the parent consent, and the student consent form for all of your students who will be participating. And I believe, Stephanie, you submitted yours, and I can't remember off the top of my head if you already submitted yours, Sharon. You may have submitted yours too.
I'll add it to you.
You haven't submitted yours yet?
No, I already sent it. I
you
faxed
already-
it to you.
Okay. Yeah, so I thought you did, but I just couldn't remember off the top of my head. I don't have my printout with me. So you both should be fine to get started. The next slide, please, Ben. Okay, so looking to what we're going to be wanting you to do, I'm going to briefly just tell you again. So we would like for you to complete a placement test, which is what we just showed you today. We want you to work with your students for 16 weeks, twice a week for at least 40 minutes each session. And when you complete your entire placement test, we would like for you to let us know. And then we would like for you to sign up for one of our power hours. Okay, do you have any questions about what I just said so far?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, now one more thing. You are a part of cohort 2, and Ben is going to be the leader of that cohort. So you will contact Ben if you have any questions, and when you finish your entire placement session, we want you to let Ben know that you have completed it, and then he will, and then also contact me to schedule the power hour. So I'll send out a message ahead of time before the power hours. Our first power hour is going to be on October the 20th. But I'll send out a message to everybody about the dates of the power hour. So Ben, is your phone number? Your phone number's on the screen now.
Yep.
I see.
Yep,
So
that's my phone number.
Ben's
You
phone
can
number
call me
and email.
anytime.
Okay, so Ben's phone number and email is on the screen, and if you need to contact him, if you're having any issues, please feel free to contact him. Cheryl, do you have some last thoughts?
No, we just want to thank you all for your time and your enthusiasm. We're here for you. So you've got all of our cell phone numbers. We're used to providing technical support all hours of the day. So please do not hesitate to text us. We're giving you our personal numbers to be open about having you using it. So thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions?
No, thank you.
No. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Have a great rest of your night. Ben?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ben, are you there?
Yeah.